still to the day, it hurts me when he said that I never loved him because he knows that I did. I'm sorry, Gino.
Sorry, I believe this crocodile tear crying stuff for a long time and had me fooled for a long time, but I'm not believing.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to 90 Day Truth Files. Real stories, real truth. Subscribe now. Jasmine Pineda, star of 90 Day Fiancé, was allegedly dragged into a secret $70,000 lawsuit, betrayed by the people she trusted and forced out of the United States while TLC stayed silent. For years, 90 Day Fiancé has sold audiences a familiar promise: love across borders, cultural clashes, emotional volatility, and redemption arcs that keep viewers glued to their screens. But behind the dramatic confessionals and carefully edited storylines, former crew members say a far more troubling reality exists. One that has now exploded into one of the most controversial behind-scenes scandals the franchise has ever faced. At the center of that storm is Jasmine Pineda. Once one of the most polarizing and talked about cast members in the franchise, Jasmine's sudden disappearance from TLC's promotional ecosystem raised quiet alarms among longtime viewers. No farewell episode, no public explanation, no acknowledgement from the network, just silence. Now, according to multiple sources with direct knowledge of the situation, that silence was deliberate. What allegedly unfolded behind closed doors was not simply a relationship breakdown or a reality TV dispute, but a cascading sequence of legal maneuvers, emotional collapse, and immigration consequences that ended with Jasmine fired from the network, briefly detained during legal processing, and ultimately deported back to Panama. All while a previously undisclosed $70,000 lawsuit allegedly loomed over her head. And insiders say it all began with something Jasmine was never supposed to know: a star made for ratings. When Jasmine Pineda was first introduced to the 90 Day Fiancé audience, she was immediately positioned as explosive, emotional, and unpredictable. A character archetype reality television thrives on. Producers leaned heavily into her passionate reactions, high-stakes arguments, and intense devotion to Gino Plet Solo. But former production staff now say that while the on-screen persona felt chaotic, Jasmine herself was far more aware of the cameras and far more trusting of the people behind them than viewers were led to believe. Jasmine believed the show was her opportunity. One former crew member said she trusted that TLC had safeguards in place, especially when it came to legal and immigration matters. That trust, sources claim, would later become her greatest vulnerability. As filming continued across multiple seasons, Jasmine's storyline increasingly revolved around financial strain, emotional instability, and immigration uncertainty. But insiders alleged that what was shown on screen represented only a fraction of what was happening behind the scenes. According to individuals familiar with internal communications, tensions between Jasmine and Gino escalated off camera in ways producers rarely intervened in, even when legal issues began to surface. The lawsuit no one told her about, the turning point, sources say, came when Jasmine learned not from TLC, not from her husband, but through a third party that Gino Plet Solo had allegedly filed a $70,000 civil lawsuit against her. The lawsuit, insiders claim, cited financial damages, contractual disputes, and personal claims tied to their relationship and shared media exposure. What shocked Jasmine most, according to people close to her, was not the amount but the secrecy. She was filming scenes about reconciliation and future plans, a source said, all while a legal filing was already in motion. Multiple insiders alleged that the lawsuit was filed quietly and never disclosed during filming, despite the fact that it could directly affect Jasmine's legal standing in the United States. Some former staff claim producers were aware of the filing weeks before Jasmine found out. TLC has never publicly confirmed the lawsuit's existence. However, individuals who say they reviewed internal production notes claim legal references were deliberately excluded from episode outlines to avoid disrupting the narrative. When Jasmine finally became aware of the lawsuit, the reaction was immediate. The day filming stopped. According to eyewitness accounts, the confrontation happened during what was scheduled to be a routine interview day. Jasmine arrived expecting to film a standard segment. Instead, she allegedly confronted producers off camera after receiving confirmation of the lawsuit's filing. What followed, sources say, was an emotional breakdown that halted production entirely. She was screaming, crying, demanding answers. One person present that day recalled she kept asking why no one told her, why they kept filming. Security was reportedly called. Cameras were shut down. Legal teams were contacted within hours. An audio recording from that day, not publicly released, but described by multiple individuals who claimed to have heard it, allegedly captures Jasmine, accusing TLC of exploiting her fear, her immigration status, and her mental health for ratings. She said she had been set up. A source said that she was never protected. Within days of the incident, filming involving Jasmine was suspended indefinitely. TLC goes silent. Publicly, TLC offered no explanation. Privately, insiders say the network shifted into damage control mode. According to former staff, Jasmine's name was removed from future production schedules. Contractual obligations were reassessed, and internal communications allegedly instructed staff to avoid discussing the situation entirely. She was effectively erased overnight. A former assistant producer said while TLC distanced itself, Jasmine reportedly expected support or at least transparency from Gino. Instead, sources claimed communication between them broke down completely. At the same time, the lawsuit continued moving forward. When legal became immigration, what Jasmine allegedly did not anticipate was how quickly the legal dispute could spill into immigration consequences. According to sources familiar with the matter, Jasmine was required to appear in court related to the lawsuit. During routine proceedings, her visa status reportedly came under scrutiny. While no criminal charges were publicly announced, the intersection of civil litigation and immigration compliance triggered a chain reaction. She felt blindsided. A source close to Jasmine said she thought everything was fine. Insiders claim TLC offered no legal assistance during this phase, a stark contrast to what some cast members say they were verbally promised during aborting. Within weeks, Jasmine's status with the network was formally terminated. Soon after, immigration authorities reportedly became involved. Detention and deportation. While details remain tightly controlled, multiple sources allege that Jasmine was briefly detained during immigration processing, not as a criminal arrest, but as part of standard enforcement procedures once her legal situation became unstable. Friends say the experience left her traumatized. She felt abandoned by everyone, one source said, by the show, by her husband, by the system. Shortly afterward, Jasmine Pineda was deported back to Panama. TLC made no announcement. Gino Palazzolo remained under contract. A story far from over. From Panama, Jasmine reportedly began piecing together what had happened, reviewing messages, emails, and recorded conversations. She had kept it throughout her time with the show. According to people close to her, she became convinced that her downfall was not accidental, but the result of a system that prioritized ratings over human consequences. And she was no longer willing to stay quiet. In part 2, we will examine the leaked communications, alleged producer manipulation, and internal TLC decisions that insiders say reveal how Jasmine's situation was handled and who may have known far more than they admitted. According to multiple insiders, what initially appeared to be a private legal dispute between spouses soon exposed something far larger, a pattern of internal decisions, producer conduct, and network priorities that critics say placed ratings above responsibility. And at the center of those allegations are leaked communications that Jasmine and several former staff members claim tell a very different story than the one TLC allowed the public to see. The emails TLC never expected to surface. Within weeks of her deportation, Jasmine reportedly began reaching out to former crew members. She trusted people who had worked closely with her during filming and who by that point were no longer under active contract with the network. What emerged, according to sources familiar with the materials, was a collection of internal emails, production notes, and private messages exchanged between producers during Jasmine's final months on the show. Several of those emails allegedly referenced legal tension, controlled escalation, and story containment, language that former staff say was commonly used to describe off-camera crises that could be leveraged on screen, provided the network itself was not directly implicated. One email described by two independent sources who claim to have seen it allegedly includes a producer, noting that Jasmine's emotional instability could peak at the perfect time for the season arc if filming continued uninterrupted. Another message reportedly reassures staff that Jasmine's immigration status was not production's responsibility, despite repeated concerns raised internally. While TLC has not authenticated or responded publicly to the alleged leaks, multiple former employees insist the language is consistent with how sensitive situations were handled behind the scenes. It was always about exposure without liability. One former production coordinator said, as long as the network wasn't legally named, everything else was considered fair game. The producer deals viewers never saw. Perhaps most troubling, insiders claim Jasmine's situation was complicated by conflicting producer incentives. What if everything you thought you knew about reality TV was only half the story? For years, 90 Day Fiancé has built its reputation on emotional love stories, dramatic arguments, and unforgettable personalities. Viewers tune in expecting romance, chaos, and sometimes redemption. But behind the bright lights and carefully edited episodes, there are whispers that not everything is as real as it seems. And now, one of the franchise's most talked about stars is at the center of a controversy that fans never saw coming. Jasmine Pineda, known for her fiery personality, emotional honesty, and unforgettable on-screen presence, has suddenly vanished from the spotlight. No official goodbye, no clear explanation, just silence. For longtime viewers, that silence raised more questions than answers. How does a reality TV star go from being one of the most featured faces on a global franchise to disappearing almost overnight? According to multiple reports and insider discussions circulating online, Jasmine's journey behind the scenes may have been far more complicated than what viewers saw on screen. What began as a love story that captured attention quickly turned into a storm of legal tension, personal conflict, and unexpected consequences that may have changed everything. Jasmine first appeared on the franchise as a passionate and outspoken personality. Producers leaned heavily into her emotional reactions and intense relationship with Gino, making them one of the most talked about couples in the series. Fans were divided. Some admired her honesty and vulnerability. Others criticized her dramatic confrontations. But one thing was certain, Jasmine brought ratings. Behind the cameras, however, sources claim that Jasmine believed the show represented a real opportunity. An opportunity for stability, exposure, and a new chapter in the United States. Like many reality stars entering the franchise, she trusted the production process and the people working around her. As seasons progressed, viewers watched Jasmine and Gino navigate long-distance struggles, financial stress, and immigration challenges. Their relationship was often portrayed as explosive, but deeply connected. Yet insiders now suggest that what viewers saw on television may have only scratched the surface. Off-camera tensions reportedly grew more complicated. Legal concerns, financial disagreements, and personal misunderstandings allegedly began to build quietly in the background. While these issues never fully made it into the final episodes, they were reportedly becoming harder to ignore behind the scenes. Then came the moment that, according to several insider discussions online, changed everything. Rumors began circulating that a serious legal dispute connected to Jasmine's personal life had emerged. While no official public documents have been confirmed by the network, speculation around a major financial disagreement started spreading across fan communities and entertainment forums. Some claimed it involved significant money. Others suggested it created unexpected legal pressure. What shocked fans most was not just the rumor itself, but the timing. During this period, Jasmine was still appearing in film segments and public promotions. On screen, storylines continued as if everything was normal. Off-screen, however, tension was reportedly building fast. Eventually, filming involving Jasmine slowed and then quietly stopped. There was no dramatic send-off episode, no formal statement explaining her absence. Instead, promotional materials began focusing on other cast members. Jasmine's presence faded from official content almost completely. For viewers who had followed her journey from the beginning, the disappearance felt sudden and confusing. Why would one of the franchise's most recognizable faces simply vanish? Online speculation exploded. Some fans believed it was a personal decision. Others suspected contractual issues or private legal matters. A few even suggested that the situation may have involved immigration complications, though no official confirmation has ever been released publicly. What is clear is that Jasmine's absence created one of the biggest unanswered questions in recent franchise history. And as weeks turned into months, more rumors began to surface. Allegations of behind-the-scenes conflict, claims that communication between key people involved had broken down, suggestions that what happened off camera was far more serious than anything viewers had seen on television. If even part of these reports are true, Jasmine's story may represent one of the most dramatic off-screen developments the franchise has faced. But this is only the beginning. Because according to insiders and ongoing discussions across fan communities, what happened next may have changed Jasmine's life completely and could explain why her reality TV journey ended so abruptly. And we'll explore the alleged legal tensions, the sudden halt in filming, and the chain of events that reportedly pushed this situation from private conflict into a full-blown controversy that fans are still trying to understand today. As questions around Jasmine's sudden disappearance continued to grow, fans began noticing something unusual. Her name was no longer being promoted by the network. Episodes that once centered around her shifted focus. Even social media promotion from official pages seemed to move forward without any mention of her. For a personality who once dominated headlines within the franchise, the silence felt intentional. Behind the scenes, speculation intensified. Entertainment bloggers and fan communities started discussing the possibility that Jasmine's situation involved more than just a relationship breakdown. Some claimed that legal pressure had begun building quietly during the final phase of her time on the show. Others suggested that production schedules were being adjusted in response to off-camera complications. What made the situation more mysterious was the complete lack of public clarification. In most reality TV controversies, networks release at least a short statement, a vague explanation, something to guide the narrative. But in this case, there was nothing. No official farewell, no direct acknowledgement, and no detailed explanation from anyone connected to the production. This silence created the perfect environment for rumors to spread. Online forums filled with theories about what may have happened. Some fans believed Jasmine chose to step away voluntarily. Others argued that contractual disagreements could have played a role. A growing number of viewers started discussing whether legal or immigration complications might have affected her ability to remain part of the show. While none of these claims were confirmed publicly, the conversation kept growing. According to several entertainment insiders who follow reality TV production closely, situations involving international cast members can sometimes become complicated very quickly. When relationships, contracts, and immigration timelines overlap, even small legal disputes can trigger larger consequences. In some cases, filming schedules must be adjusted or paused entirely until matters are resolved. If something similar happened here, it could explain why Jasmine's storyline appeared to end without closure. At the same time, fans began noticing changes in the on-screen dynamic between Jasmine and Gino. Where there had once been constant updates and shared appearances, there was now distance. Interviews became rare. Joint promotions slowed. Eventually, the two stopped appearing together entirely in official franchise content. This shift only fueled more curiosity. Viewers who had followed their journey from the beginning knew how central their relationship had been to the show's narrative. Seeing that connection suddenly disappear without explanation felt out of character for a franchise built on transparency and drama. Then came another wave of speculation. Some online reports suggested that a serious personal dispute may have escalated into legal territory. While details remained unconfirmed and largely based on insider discussions, the idea that private conflict had crossed into formal proceedings began gaining attention across fan communities. If true, such a development could have complicated everything, from filming schedules to travel permissions and contractual obligations. For reality television productions, any situation involving legal uncertainty can create significant risk. Networks typically move quickly to protect themselves from potential liability, often by pausing involvement with cast members until matters are clarified. That process can happen quietly, without public announcements, especially if contracts include confidentiality clauses. This could help explain why Jasmine's presence seemed to fade so suddenly. Meanwhile, viewers continued searching for answers. Every new episode that aired without her raised more questions. Social media posts were analyzed. Old interviews were revisited. Fans wanted to know what really happened behind the cameras. And while official confirmation remained absent, one thing became increasingly clear. Whatever occurred was serious enough to remove one of the franchise's most recognizable faces from active promotion almost overnight. For someone who once thrived in the spotlight, the sudden disappearance marked a dramatic shift. But according to ongoing discussions within entertainment circles, the most intense chapter of this story may have unfolded after filming stopped. Some reports suggest that once production ended, a chain reaction of personal and legal complications began to accelerate. Issues that might have once been manageable reportedly became far more difficult once the protection of active filming and network involvement was gone. If those claims are accurate, Jasmine may have found herself navigating a complex situation without the support system she once believed existed. And that leads to the biggest question of all. Was this simply a private dispute that spiraled out of control? Or does Jasmine's story reveal something deeper about the pressures and risks reality TV personalities face behind the scenes? In part 3, we'll look at the aftermath, what reportedly happened once cameras stopped rolling, how fans reacted to the growing controversy, and why this story continues to spark debate across the reality TV world even now. Once the cameras stopped rolling and Jasmine's presence slowly disappeared from official promotions, the real storm began online. Fans noticed everything. Every missing appearance, every deleted clip, every interview that never happened. For weeks, viewers waited for clarity. Reality TV audiences are used to drama, breakups, and even scandals, but they are also used to closure. When a major cast member leaves a franchise, there is usually a storyline conclusion, a reunion explanation, or at the very least, a public statement. This time, there was nothing. That silence turned curiosity into speculation almost overnight. Across fan pages, Reddit threads, and entertainment blogs, discussions about Jasmine's situation began trending. Some viewers expressed concern for her well-being. Others questioned whether the network had intentionally avoided addressing the situation. Many simply wanted to understand why one of the franchise's most talked about personalities had vanished so suddenly. The more time passed, the louder the questions became. Some fans started revisiting older episodes, analyzing scenes for possible clues. They pointed out moments where Jasmine appeared emotionally overwhelmed or stressed about her future. Others revisited interviews, where she spoke about building a life in the United States and how much she had sacrificed to pursue that dream. To longtime viewers, those moments suddenly felt more significant. If something serious had indeed unfolded behind the scenes, it could explain the emotional intensity fans had witnessed throughout her later appearances. What once seemed like standard reality TV drama now looked, to some viewers, like genuine pressure building beneath the surface. At the same time, the network continued moving forward with new storylines and new couples. Promotional campaigns shifted focus. Fresh faces were introduced. Yet Jasmine's name remained absent from official announcements. This created a strange contrast. On one hand, the franchise continued operating as usual. On the other, one of its most recognizable figures seemed to have been quietly removed from the narrative. For fans who had invested years watching her journey, the lack of acknowledgement felt unusual. As speculation intensified, conversations began shifting toward a broader discussion about reality television itself. What responsibility do networks have toward cast members once filming ends? How much support is provided when legal or personal challenges arise? And where's the line between entertainment and real-life consequences? These questions are not new to the reality TV world. Over the years, several former cast members from various shows have spoken publicly about the pressures of sudden fame, contractual limitations, and the difficulty of transitioning back to normal life once filming stops. Jasmine's situation, whatever the full truth may be, quickly became part of that larger conversation. Fans who once debated her on-screen behavior now found themselves debating something else entirely: how reality TV fame can sometimes come with unexpected risks. Some viewers argued that participants fully understand the nature of reality television before joining. Others countered that the emotional and legal complexities can become overwhelming once real life collides with televised storytelling. As discussion spread across social media, one theme kept returning: transparency. Viewers wanted clarity. They wanted closure. Most of all, they wanted to know what actually happened. Meanwhile, unofficial updates and rumors continued circulating. Some claimed Jasmine had stepped away to rebuild her life privately. Others suggested she was focusing on personal healing and future opportunities outside the franchise. A few entertainment commentators speculated that she might eventually share her side of the story through interviews or social media when the time felt right. If that happens, it could reshape how fans understand this entire chapter. Because in reality television, there are always two narratives, the one viewers see on screen and the one that unfolds behind the cameras. When those two narratives collide, the result can create controversy that extends far beyond a single show or season. Jasmine's journey within the franchise was never simple. From the moment she appeared, she sparked strong reactions. Supporters admired her honesty and emotional openness. Critics questioned her decisions and reactions. But regardless of opinion, she remained one of the most memorable personalities the show has featured in recent years. That is why her sudden absence continues to stand out. Even now, months after her last major appearance, fans continue discussing what may have happened and what it means for the future of reality TV storytelling. Some hope she will eventually return to the public eye and share her perspective. Others believe she may choose a quieter path, away from the intense scrutiny that comes with television fame. Either way, her story has already left an impact. It has reminded viewers that behind every dramatic episode and viral moment is a real person navigating real consequences. Reality TV may present heightened emotion for entertainment, but the lives involved continue long after filming ends. And sometimes, those off-camera chapters become the most compelling stories of all. As the franchise moves forward with new seasons and new faces, one question still lingers among fans. Will the full truth behind Jasmine's disappearance ever be revealed? Or will it remain one of reality television's most talked about unanswered mysteries? One thing is certain. Audiences are still watching, still discussing, and still waiting for answers. And if Jasmine ever decides to speak openly about what really happened behind the scenes, it could become one of the most explosive reality TV revelations in recent memory. As the weeks turned into months, the noise around Jasmine's situation didn't fade. In fact, it grew louder. Every time a new season of the franchise aired without her presence, viewers were reminded that something about her exit felt unfinished. For a show built on emotional closure and dramatic storytelling, the lack of resolution surrounding one of its most recognizable personalities continued to stand out. Fans began asking a different kind of question. Not just what happened, but why no one involved seemed willing to address it publicly. Reality television thrives on transparency when it comes to on-screen drama, but when real-life complications enter the picture, that transparency often disappears. Jasmine's story appeared to fall directly into that gray area where entertainment, personal life, and legal sensitivity intersect. Some entertainment analysts believe situations like this highlight the complex nature of reality TV contracts. Cast members sign agreements that often include strict confidentiality clauses, limiting what they can say publicly about production decisions or internal conflicts. Networks, on the other hand, prioritize protecting the brand and avoiding legal exposure. When both sides remain silent, the result is exactly what fans witnessed here, a storyline that simply ends without explanation. Meanwhile, online discussion around Jasmine's future continued evolving. Supporters expressed hope that she would eventually rebuild her public image independently, perhaps through social media, interviews, or new opportunities outside the franchise. Others speculated that stepping away from the intense spotlight might actually provide her with the privacy and stability she had been seeking for years. Reality TV fame can be unpredictable. For some participants, it opens doors to new careers, business ventures, and long-term recognition. For others, it brings overwhelming scrutiny and pressure that becomes difficult to manage once filming stops. Jasmine's journey seemed to reflect both sides of that reality. At the height of her time on screen, she was one of the most talked about personalities in the franchise. Her emotional honesty and dramatic presence kept viewers engaged and invested. But the same intensity that made her compelling television may also have made her experience more challenging behind the scenes. As discussions about her situation spread, broader conversations about the responsibility of reality TV productions began gaining traction again. Industry experts often point out that while networks provide exposure and opportunity, the participants themselves face the long-term consequences of public attention. Emotional stress, relationship breakdowns, and sudden lifestyle changes can all become part of the reality after the cameras stop rolling. In Jasmine's case, the sudden shift from constant screen time to complete absence created a narrative gap that fans struggled to understand. Some viewers argued that the network owed audiences a basic explanation. Others believed that personal privacy should take priority over public curiosity. Both perspectives highlight the complicated relationship between reality television and real life. Unlike scripted shows, where characters exit according to planned storylines, reality TV involves real individuals whose circumstances can change unexpectedly. When those changes occur off camera, producers are often forced to choose between transparency and discretion. That choice can shape how audiences perceive the entire situation. For now, Jasmine's story remains largely untold from her own perspective, without an official statement or detailed interview. Most of what fans know comes from observation, speculation, and fragmented reports circulating online. This lack of direct information has allowed multiple narratives to form simultaneously. Some portray her as stepping away voluntarily to focus on personal growth. Others frame the situation as the result of complicated external pressures. The truth may lie somewhere in between, known fully only to the people directly involved. What is undeniable is the impact, unpredictability, and authenticity that kept viewers talking long after episodes ended. Even in absence, her name continues to generate discussion across fan communities. That level of engagement speaks to how strongly audiences connected with her story, regardless of where they stood in their opinions. Looking ahead, several possibilities remain. Jasmine could eventually return to public platforms and share her experience in her own words. Former reality stars have done this before, using podcasts, independent interviews, or social media to reclaim their narratives. If she chooses that path, it would likely draw significant attention and potentially reshape how fans understand everything that happened. Another possibility is that she may choose a quieter future, focusing on personal stability and life away from television. Many former reality personalities step back completely after leaving a major franchise, prioritizing privacy over continued public exposure. If Jasmine follows that route, the unanswered questions surrounding her departure may remain exactly that, unanswered. Either way, her journey serves as a reminder of how quickly circumstances can change within the world of reality television. One moment, a cast member can be central to the narrative. The next, they can disappear from the screen entirely, leaving audiences to piece together what might have happened. For viewers, the story has become more than just gossip or speculation. It represents a broader look at how reality TV operates behind the scenes and how real lives intersect with entertainment. Every dramatic moment shown on screen is connected to real experiences happening off camera, often far more complex than what makes it into a final episode. As the franchise continues introducing new couples and new storylines, Jasmine's chapter remains one of its most mysterious. Fans continue to revisit old episodes, discuss theories, and watch for any sign that she might eventually speak publicly. Until that happens, her departure stands as one of the most talked about unresolved stories within the reality TV world. And perhaps that is what makes it so compelling. In a genre built on constant updates and dramatic reveals, sometimes the most powerful story is the one that remains unfinished. Whether Jasmine chooses to return to the spotlight or move forward privately, her time within the franchise has already secured its place in reality television history. The questions surrounding her exit may not have clear answers yet, but they continue to keep viewers watching, discussing, and wondering what really happened once the cameras stopped rolling. Even now, long after her sudden disappearance from the spotlight, one question continues to echo across the reality TV world. Will Jasmine ever tell her side of the story? For many viewers, that question has become just as compelling as any dramatic episode ever aired. Because when a major reality star vanishes without explanation, curiosity doesn't fade. It grows. Fans who once watched her emotional journey unfold week after week are still searching for answers. And the longer the silence continues, the more intense that curiosity becomes. In today's digital age, it only takes one post, one interview, or one unexpected live stream to change everything. Former reality stars have done it before. Some return months or even years later with detailed accounts of what truly happened behind the scenes. When they do, the revelations often reshape how audiences understand entire seasons of television. If Jasmine ever decides to speak openly, it could have a similar impact. Supporters believe she has a powerful story to tell. They point to her time on the show, her emotional investment, and the personal challenges she appeared to face while cameras were rolling. Many fans feel that what viewers saw on screen was only part of a much larger experience. They want to hear directly from her, without editing, without producers shaping the narrative, and without the pressure of maintaining a television storyline. Critics, on the other hand, argue that reality TV participants know what they are signing up for. They believe that intense public scrutiny is part of the territory. Once someone becomes a televised personality, every decision and consequence becomes subject to public discussion. This debate reflects a larger conversation happening across the entertainment industry about the balance between public interest and personal privacy. Meanwhile, the franchise itself continues moving forward. New couples are introduced. New conflicts unfold. Each season brings fresh drama designed to capture audience attention. Yet for longtime viewers, there is still a sense that something remains unresolved from Jasmine's chapter. It is rare for such a prominent personality to exit so quietly. That quiet exit has become its own kind of storyline, unfolding not on television screens, but across fan discussions and online communities. Some insiders within the entertainment world believe that time will eventually bring clarity. Contracts expire. Confidentiality agreements end. People move on to new projects and feel more comfortable speaking about past experiences. When that moment arrives, stories that were once locked behind legal boundaries often begin to surface. If that pattern holds true here, the full details of Jasmine's journey may eventually become public knowledge. Until then, the mystery continues. Fans still monitor social media for any sign of a major update. A single photo or message can spark thousands of comments and theories within minutes. This level of attention shows how deeply audiences remain invested in her story. Even without new episodes or official announcements, interest has not disappeared. If anything, it has intensified over time. There's also the possibility that Jasmine may choose to reinvent her public image entirely. Many former reality personalities transition into new careers, using the recognition they gain from television to build independent platforms. Some launch businesses. Others become influencers, speakers, or content creators. Reinvention is common in the reality TV world, especially for those who experience both the benefits and pressures of sudden fame. If she chooses that path, her return to the public could look very different from before. Instead of appearing within a heavily produced environment, she might present her story directly to her audience on her own terms. That kind of direct connection often resonates strongly with viewers who want authenticity beyond edited television episodes. At the same time, stepping away completely remains a valid choice. Not every reality star wants to remain in the spotlight. Some prefer to rebuild their lives privately, focusing on stability and personal growth rather than continued public attention. If Jasmine has chosen that direction, her silence may simply reflect a desire for peace after years of intense visibility.